Let's talk about emotional dysregulation with individuals that are in the capacity of leadership or and owners of business or managers or anybody that is leading other people. There are certain attributes that these individuals present where they avoid conflict and avoid at all cost situations that are confrontational with other people, like telling them that they don't agree with something, or letting them know that they need to let them go, or place them on a pip. And the thing here is that emotional dysregulation happens at times very silently. And there are common ways where the dysregulation happens that doesn't necessarily look a lot like what you think it would look like, right? It could You can imagine that this emotional dysregulation is something like getting extremely angry at someone and yelling or cursing at them, when the reality is that there's significantly deeper things that people do that they don't recognize is emotional dysregulation. So let's talk about some of these. Number one, avoidance. Individuals tend to avoid situations that are emotionally hard, like hard conversations. They procrastinate hard work. They avoid phone calls and things that are going to emotionally charge them. And that avoidance is a protective factor, and it brings short term relief, and it helps the person feel less anxious. So, in the cycle of anxiety, it removes the heightened feeling. But the problem with that is that there are consequences, because relationships can get really hurt because of that. Another one which is very common is exploding, right? So the person is angry, is presenting a lot of the emotional charge that you're used to with angry people, right? They will yell at you, they will curse at you, but in reality, they're feeling hurt, fear, or any other emotion that is charged, but they're masking it with anger because for whatever reason, it's been easier for them to mask it with anger. Another one could be withdrawal. The person withdraws from a situation, removes themselves. They basically ghost you for 2 to 3 days. They don't return phone calls. And this was a hard one because the other person that is trying to engage with them doesn't know how to grasp, doesn't know how to and what to do, especially if there are things that are pending. And withdrawal is reality is just fear of conflict and fear of rejection. And this person is deeply feeling uncomfortable engaging with them, so they withdraw. But this one really is going to hurt your business, is going to hurt your relationships, because it's not going to allow any type of engagement to happen. Then you have a little bit more nefarious one, which would be manipulation, right? This one is where the person tries to manipulate a situation in order for them to feel better in that interaction. And we see this in marriages, we see this in any business partnership where one person is trying to guilt trip or be passive aggressive in order to get their point across. The last one that I will talk about is defensiveness. And defensiveness is pretty prevalent in my couples therapy sessions, where one person quickly snaps at the other person when they say any slight thing that might challenge their worldview. And they move a lot into blame and trying to react to the emotion by pushing it to the other person. And defensiveness hurts relationships significantly because it doesn't really allow authenticity to happen in the relationship. And it's important for us to really reframe that you're not a bad person, or they're not bad people. They just have an emotional regulation problem. Understanding how to regulate your emotions is extremely important. Understanding it through self-awareness, pausing, taking a break, taking a step back, engaging in cognitive restructuring in order for you to understand how can you communicate better, how can you lead better, how can you have better intimacy, and at the end of the day, make decisions in your life that are going to improve your life rather than be detrimental ones, especially in business, especially with your relationship with your partner or your children. It matters to be able to regulate yourself in order to not dysregulate onto others. And my final point is that, look, society will teach you to be productive, to achieve things, to perform, but they don't really teach you how to emotionally become aware. Just like they don't teach us how to do taxes, they don't really teach us how to work through a lot of our emotions. And it doesn't have to be a kumbaya session or some sort of yoga retreat where you sit in silence, but how can you constructively really understand your emotions in order to regulate them and then engage in the relationships in an appropriate way so you can make some more money?